welcome back to another Chinwag. Hello, I'm Paul Giamatti, your host, and I'm joined by my co-host and cohort in weirdness, the distinguished philosopher and author, Stephen Asma.
Hello, friends. We have a really great episode for you all today.
As promised, Chinwaggers, here's a little extra bonus wag for your listening enjoyment. I think now we've probably reached the portion of the evening that's far more interesting, where you get to ask us questions about things. I think we've reached that point.
Including rumpology.
Yes, including ask anything you want about rumpology. I'll do what I can to help you out. Yes, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Well, I was just thinking in this discussion, if you had thought about the whole, where dream analysis fits in, or if you have any comments about dream analysis, or if you can make up comments about dream analysis.
Yes. I can certainly make some shit up, yeah. No, but it seems like dreams must be a big part of this. And to what extent is a guy like this hammering the nutbag and staring into a fire and really kind of dreaming, actually? Yeah. You know what I mean? To what extent is somebody like this maybe actually going into a kind of hypnagogic state or something like that, where he's actually dreaming? Because these read like weird dreams.
They do. They're so stream of consciousness that they feel like dreams. And that's where a lot of people think that they might be accessing the future or something symbolically significant.
Dreams.
Yeah, during these liminal states,
Yeah, which I totally buy the clairvoyant dream thing. Well, 100%. You don't. You think I'm full of shit.
I think, well, hold on.
Wow. Well, listen, you insulted my acting before, so I'm
that's true. I think that dreams are very meaningful, but I can't understand how they would have access to the future. I have a hard time with it. I think they tell you a lot about the past and what's important to you, but not the future.
The thing I'm always saying about prophecy that I think, because I told you about how I was reading this writer, Dom DeLillo. Has anybody ever read anything by Dom DeLillo?
Okay.
And he wrote a book called Mao 2 in the 90s. And there's a moment in Mao 2 when this woman is in her apartment. She looks out and she sees the Twin Towers. And she has this weird reverie where she thinks, wow, what if somebody blew them up and they were gone? And this is 1992 or something. And to me, a prophet is somebody who's hyper aware of now so deeply, a guy like that he can see the chain, he can see what's brought us here, and he can see what's going to take us there. So that to some extent, you're asleep and you're more open to something that allows you to see everything.
That's
What
interesting.
I mean?
Yeah.
What is it? Blake says eternity in a grain of sand and all that stuff. It's like that you see everything.
I like that idea.
You have such awareness of now. And so when you're dreaming, you may be in some state where you're so aware of now that you're seeing what
you're
what
more open.
Be. It's all the same moment in essence.
There's a name for this called LaPlace's Demon. There's a famous mathematician, you guys have heard of LaPlace, and he thought, like in the 1700s, that if this demon knew everything there was about the chains of causation, that the demon could predict a million years into the future, because they could understand how this atom hits that atom, hits this atom, hits this molecule, and they could trace all the way back in history because they could see the chains of causation.
Yeah.
So that's LaPlace.
So dreaming seems like it's something that maybe allows you to do that unconsciously.
Maybe.
Something like that. Oh, gosh.
Anyway, rumpology.
Wow. Rumpology.
So I noticed that you talked about the religion and Nostradamus giving people power. And I thought it was interesting because you mentioned also that Catherine de Medici was like a big fan of Nostradamus. So I think maybe that he was given that power to spread his word more than others, maybe.
That's true.
But that's not a question. So what do you think the power of like suggestion is on these things and the spread of that suggestion, like making these things come to fruition? I'm just curious.
That's
you mean
good
actually
question.
causing them because they've been put out there in the world? Yeah. Wow, that's fucking crazy. That's interesting. Like, how much is that actually influencing events in some way, maybe?
Well,
I mean, in your personal life, have you ever experienced this sense of like putting something out and what people say, like, I'm putting it out in the universe and it comes to you in some way? So if this guy's doing this on a cosmic level and it's spreading to everybody and they're all getting this suggestion in their head, is it
that's how I was interpreting her question.
Did I misinterpret your question?
I was like,
no, Well, I think it can be interpreted in different ways, but
that's
like
really crazy.
when you hear a story, there's a book, I can't remember the name, but it talked about school shooting and how the news media talks about school shooting and it actually makes them happen more because people are hearing about them, and it's a thing that's out in the world now. So they're like, well, maybe this, they're just internalizing it.
Yeah.
So.
That's really interesting.
That makes sense. I mean, there's
because
something about that makes sense.
Human beings, like, we're very culturally sensitive compared to other animals. They have like little to no culture, but human beings can hear things over and over again, and then they can actually subconsciously make them so. They can bring it about, like either consciously, like as an ideal, or subconsciously.
I think my cat is very cultured, actually.
You think?
Very cultured cat. No,
it's a beautiful cat.
It's a beautiful cat. But there's something really powerful and creepy about that. That's wild.
I think that's why, like, you have to be very careful about what the culture is saying. And this is going to sound weird, but it's not like I'm saying like censor the culture, but you'll find that human beings are a reflection of their literature, their films, their religion, and when those ideals are like violent and destructive, then it seems to trigger people to act in these horrible ways. So we're really good at catching cultural contagion. So you have to be careful with the culture. Like his movies are trouble. Like if you watch
all these movies that I make are the worst. They're absolutely the worst. But isn't that kind of like what a meme is, though? Like in its original meaning, like a meme is a kind of like cultural virus. Sort of. And originally it was like a kind of, it was not what it is now, this visual thing, although maybe it was. I don't know.
It can be all like
it can be
that,
all those
but
things.
It could also be like religious ideas or whatever.
And that's a meme. And it sort of like catches on and then
it replicates just like a gene does.
So these things are kind of like, well, and people were saying it's super popular. He's gotten popular again because of TikTok and stuff and all of and social media. There's a lot of spread of his stuff because of social media.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because they are these kind of little bite-sized weird things that you can put out there really easily and easily so, and people will be captivated by them.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, what's the point of that? Like, if you think like, oh, he kind of predicted the latest, political or war that's happening, then what do you derive from that? Do you feel better about knowing that, or do you like?
No, that's the thing. I mean, it's like, is it comforting really in some way? I suppose it is. It verges into conspiratorial thinking in some way. It's pattern seeking, and you begin to see patterns, even though he's giving you these vague things that you can make the pattern with. That must be comforting in some way.
That's a good point.
I've made a pattern out of it.
You feel better because at least you recognize a pattern.
I can see how these things link up. Does anybody else have any other questions? There's no need for people to.
Hi there.
Hi.
On the episode you guys did with that Long Island medium, Teresa.
Oh,
yeah. Teresa Caputo.
Well, you briefly touched upon past lives or reincarnation. And I was just wondering if you were going to consider doing an entire episode, not necessarily with her. And then also, have either of you experienced any strange memories that you don't recall being in your life, or like weird deja vu?
Wow, good.
I had a weird dream. I think I talked about it in one of our episodes. I had a weird dream when I was a kid about being a kid.
Oh, that's
Italy,
right. Yeah.
And sort of, it seemed like the 19th century or something, or early 20th century, when I was like 7 or 8. And it was incredibly detailed and strangely banal, which is what made me feel like something was going on, because it wasn't weird in any way, except the fact that I was a little kid in Italy in like 1910 or something.
Wow.
And it was like, which was weird. So that's the only thing. I don't think I've ever had any other experiences like that.
I feel like if I've had one, I immediately like discounted it. Yeah, I was like, well, this is some bullshit. This is like a movie I saw. Because I just like, but I think if I was more open to it, there might be something. Yeah. It depends on your reaction to it.
I've come more and more to think it's an idea that I kind of maybe buy. I don't know. I used to reject it out. Yeah, I used to reject it out.
What freaks me out is when kids seem to know shit that they shouldn't know, like about something that happened.
Yeah, and that's what those guys at UVA have a lot of that stuff.
And the Dalai Lama, the story, like
That's how they pick a Dalai Lama.
Yeah, the kid like picks, oh, that's the glasses, and it turns out it was the glasses of a previous
that's the
Dalai
cane
Lama.
that I walked with, and they'll pick out objects that mean something to them, and that's how they figure it out. Yeah. Is there anybody else? Anyone else?
Hi. I was really interested in the frame that you took of Nostradamus as like a really great poet. And it got me to thinking about like other prescience in art, like the character of Paul Atreides and Dune and things like that. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about like what the function of prescience or prophecy in art is. I mean, you talked a little bit about it and how it's like a reflection of society, but like what the function of that in art, like as an artist or an art adjacent person, like what that would mean.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes.
It is interesting.
Yeah. These people are too smart, man.
I know.
Like
I'm like, wow, that's actually really smart.
Jesus.
And I mean, like I said, like Don DeLillo's stuff has a lot of kind of like weird, it functions as like weird prophecy because it feels like these warnings about things coming. I mean, how many artists consciously choose to try to, I mean, I think people used to do that more. Be like, I'm going to write the great novel that's all about my country's fate and future and their past. And I don't know that people write stuff like that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I wonder if people have that sense of like.
I will say that Frank Herbert's writing of prescience sounded like a warning almost.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's
he was a big environmentalist.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of his sort of environmental stuff for sure. And I think some people, you could probably look at a lot of people and say, it's all now come to sort of pass with that kind of thing, for sure. Science fiction, obviously,
it's very much in this.
Is very much doing that. You know, is trying to talk about. But again, you always feel like science fiction is talking about now in terms of the future, in terms of a kind of satire that the future is telling us about something about now. Yeah, maybe or something.
I feel like it's a way to. Science fiction is a great example because it's attempting to envision what's not what's actual, but what's possible. And so that's really crucial because it could be dystopian or it could be utopian. Both are possible. And you see this a lot in science fiction writing. Yeah. I think you see it in great, like George Eliot does it in social relationships too. It doesn't have to be science fiction. But I think artists are really good at imagining a possible future, which is the great service they provide because then you can see how bad things could be.
Alternate ways of living and thinking.
And alternate ways of living,
That's true.
We do need to, at some point, get to the tunnel.
The Hoosac Tunnel. We did want to talk about the Hoosac Tunnel.
I'm the one who mentioned
it. Yeah, you're the one who mentioned it. That's awesome.
That wasn't what my question was about.
Oh, okay.
But
the hell with the Hoosac Tunnel then.
I know a lot of people died while building it.
Yes.
They say that's very, very
We
haunted.
went there today. We went to check it out.
Yes. That's amazing.
It's super creepy.
It was creepy. I've never been, but I've read a lot about it. And I read another podcast about it, or listened to, which was crazy.
It's really cool. It's worth checking out. It's super creepy.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go in.
We did. And not knowing it's a functioning
we walked
train
a long
track.
way into
Steve and I were walking along. I'm like, wow, this is real dark in here. This goes down really far away. Steve, do you think there's any trains that use this? I mean, we might not have been here tonight.
Yeah.
If we walked further.
139 confirmed deaths.
Is that right?
Building it. Yes.
It's 5 miles long.
Yes.
And it's dark in there. It's really creepy.
Well, I give you credit for going in there. Can I ask my question?
Yes. Anyway, the tunnel.
Well, my question is kind of a tangent in favor of tangents. And it is
really a tangent?
With Stephen in mind, have you seen the latest viral Sasquatch footage?
Yeah, we were just talking about
it. And what do you think of it?
We were talking about it.
What do you make of it? Is it real, fake?
I find it compelling.
I told Paul that my heart says yes, but my head says,
I think it's pretty.
It's weird.
It's weird. It's really weird because we were saying, I'm like, it moves like a guy. It doesn't move like an animal, but it's weird looking. Like its fur is weird and kind of silky, and it's a weird color.
Yeah.
And the fact that it kind of perfectly matches the environment is really weird. And so I'm a little bit like, if it's some dude, he put a lot of thought into this. And is he out there every fucking day doing that? Hoping that somebody's going to film him? And that's what I keep thinking. Is this dude out there like, it's hot out here? And he's running around. I actually find it compelling.
I also find it compelling, but I so want to believe in Bigfoot that I'm afraid that I might be being gullible. And if you haven't seen it, it's kind weird. Of like it's like a light brown color, right?
Kind
with a
golden
silky
golden,
yeah.
It's kind of beautiful.
And it walks across like a plain with some
like
fauna,
a hillside with
like
a lot of
flora,
sort of scrub. Yeah. It's like deserty scrub, sort of. You know?
And it just sits down.
Kind of looking around, it kind of sits down and kind of disappears into a bush. It's weird. It's super weird.
And the great, before you're making fun of me too much, the great primatologist, Jane Goodall,
correct,
is on record saying it is entirely possible that there is some undetected primate.
I find that amazing.
Yeah,
that
and she asked these folks in South America, she said, have you ever seen how does she ask it? A monkey that stands upright without a tail. And they were like, oh yeah, it's like 6 feet tall.
Really?
Yeah. Like
people
six people were like, yeah, oh yeah, we see that all the time.
Amazing. So, well, he's out there in Colorado, that's for sure. It's weird. I find it interesting. It's strange.
I take it from your nodding head that you also find it compelling.
It was strange.
Yeah, it's definitely weird.
Look, she's not even committing as much as we are. Like,
what cracks me up is you're skeptical about so many things, but you're like Sasquatch.
Yeah,
yes.
That's where I'm like.
It's really funny to me.
Board, yeah.
You're like, no. Precognitive dreams are bullshit, but Sasquatch is definitely real. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Anyway.
Why do you want to believe in Sasquatch?
It's a good question. It's cool. I like the idea of cryptids. I know a lot of you guys do too, cryptozoology. Paul and I like the idea of these creatures that were entirely seemed to be made up or were completely fanciful, and then we end up discovering them. I mean, people thought that the platypus was bullshit.
Yeah, platypus
they thought
is
it was
bullshit.
a hoax.
I still think the platypus is bullshit. I mean, you look at that; they're very hard to. It's really hard to see a platypus. They're almost like a giant squid or something. But I think,
in a way,
they've hardly ever been seen.
So I think Sasquatch is one of those.
Right? Was an orangutan something that was mythical, and then like people saw it, which is pretty close to stuff.
Yeah, so I love that stuff that we thought it was BS and it turned out to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm all for Sasquatch being real. It's not like I don't want Sasquatch to be real. I just think it's funny you think it is real. Yes. Say what?
Where are the skeletons?
Which skeletons? Okay, well that's a good point. Where's the dead ones?
They're made of a chemical that the rainwater just decimates the chemical,
just absolutely,
the osseous material.
It's like the elephant's graveyard or whatever, right? Wasn't there like a mythical thing where all the elephants went to die because you never saw dead elephants, supposedly?
Well, apparently they do die. Like they do move the bones to an area. That's common.
Move their own bones
apparently, and they kind of die in a certain area. There's your answer.
The Sasquatches move their bones underground.
Yeah, we just don't know where that is.
We don't know where that is. Nope.
Is that so hard to believe?
The Hoosac Tunnel.
They're in the Hoosac Tunnel.
That's where they are. That's where they are. We got one more over here? I say, why not?
Hi.
Hi.
So I was really interested when we were talking about, or you were talking about, why do certain things catch on versus another, Christianity versus any of the millions of religions that exist. And I was thinking, is it related to someone in popular culture, whether it's a leader or someone else gives them a voice? I think about some of the insane people that we know in our day-to-day, like Rasputin, who was given a voice by the Romanovs. Is it because they're given the people are given permission to almost believe in this thing or this prophecy or whatever? So yeah.
Interesting.
Thoughts.
Yeah, that's good.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Rasputin, yeah, somebody like that. What about somebody like Jesus, though? I mean, is it because he pissed off the Romans enough that it popularized his message, that he was enough of a pest that they...
I mean, he fulfilled a prophecy that was already there and waiting for him.
That's true. Yeah,
as some think. And then also he had the greatest marketing genius of all time named Paul.
That's right.
Who went all around the Mediterranean, like just marketing Christianity like crazy.
That's true.
So
true.
It's who you attach yourself to.
For sure.
You know, in Nostradamus' case, he attached himself to really powerful people.
That's true. And Rasputin, I suppose a lot of people like that. Or they get enough people supporting them and enabling them, like Jim Jones or somebody like that. You know, so that you have enough people around you, like really keeping it going. Something that makes sense. That makes sense. Absolutely. Another one? I'm happy to do another one. I mean, we're probably going over time, but I don't care.
Just to throw a stick into the works, what do you think AI is going to do to prophecies and truth, etc.?
It's fucking with truth. That's for sure.
Yeah,
it's messing with truth. Do you think we'll be able to use them to like prophesy things? Like that's an interesting idea.
Well, you could use AI to write this stuff.
You can use AI to generate Nostradamuses. I bet you could.
Yeah. Even now, you could just say, write me some poetry quatrains in the style of Nostradamus, and they can do it. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's fucking crazy.
Let's do it.
That's really bananas. Wow. So yeah, that seems wow.
The Chinwag presents
the end of the world.
Nostradamus quatrains.
Holy shit, that's freaky. Is there somebody doing that probably right now?
Probably, yeah. I think that's easy to do.
Easy. Super easy. It doesn't need to make any sense.
Could AI actually like predict the future? Because it has so much data that it's
That's the thing that's interesting.
From the internet.
If we're talking about it's like you know the past so well, you see the then maybe it could actually be something we can use to like prognosticate.
Because they're doing that in medicine. They're just saying no doctor can know all these case studies, but AI could.
That's right.
So then it can use it to project what is this particular person going through and what are they going to experience.
That's interesting. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good use of it. If there's any good use of it.
That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that. That's a good question.
Cool. I like that.
It's a LaPlace's Demon.
Say what? Oh, it's LaPlace's. Thank you. Yeah, got it.
Stay with me, man.
I'm sorry, man. I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, absolutely. One more is great. Absolutely.
It's so great to have you here, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I am so excited that you went to the Hoosac Tunnel.
Yeah, we were really psyched.
And they increased the height on the tunnel about 20 years ago.
Oh.
And I, as a journalist here in North Adams, had a chance to talk to some of the workers in there, and they said that they saw strange things.
Really?
We'll leave it at that. I also think you need to know here in North Adams just how incredibly rich it is with supernatural activity.
Like what?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
The Houghton Mansion?
Oh, what is that? What is that?
Oh, my gosh. Like it's over on Church Street.
Uh-huh.
I had probably my only supernatural experience there. And it was similar. I've been...
The Hope Mansion.
The Houghton.
Oh, Houghton. Okay.
Houghton Mansion.
Uh-huh.
Where I heard... And you can appreciate this. I've been listening. I've been catching up at the podcast. Where I heard someone say in my ear, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
That's awesome.
Changed my life.
Good.
Changed my life. Love what you guys do.
Thanks.
Keep doing it.
Thank you.
We intend to.
Thank you for coming to North Adams.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Staying here at Mass MoCA.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
A lot of fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Chinwag is a production of Treefort Media and Touchy Feely Films. Hosted and executive produced by Paul Giamatti and Stephen Asma. Executive producers for Treefort are Kelly Garner and Lisa Ammerman. Dan Carey is executive producer for Touchy Feely. Our series producer is Rachel Whitley Bernstein. Original theme music by Luke Top, with additional music by Via Mardot. Oscar Guido is our executive in charge of production. Tom Monahan is head of audio for Treefort. Animation created by Alex Sokol. Editing and mixing by Jeff Neal. Lastly, for more information, go to chinwagpod.fm and find us on Instagram or TikTok @chinwagpod or on Twitter @chinwag_pod.